Yeah, yeah,
You have?
yeah.
We're
Why?
we're live, but we're live by the way. Someone described this datura, angel's trumpet. You've heard of this, right? The flower?
What? No. What is that?
Well, I was having a discussion with someone today, and we were talking about
What's a plant?
basically,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, we're talking about the drugs that are out there and how gnarly they are and how dangerous they are.
Yeah.
And he shared a story about datura. He goes, "Oh, I'll tell you a story. It's a flower that grows around here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you eat it, and it causes psychosis."
Well, it says on Wikipedia it's among the most toxic of ornamental plants.
Yeah. So I guess this guy, when he was in his 20s, someone had a bag of it and he tried it and he said he saw things and wasn't right for quite some time. Like saw things hanging in the trees and tried to cut them down that weren't actually there.
Well,
Yeah.
that I believe that this sort of thing is responsible for the toxicity and deliriant effects both of Jimson weed and deadly nightshade. So yeah, it's maybe not something you want to consume. Just saying, or be
No, but
cautious
I
if you
believe
do.
yeah, I believe that it was a, hey, Molly's here and polar bear's here. Hey, it was just a weird conversation because I was like, why would you try that? He goes, because
Yeah.
I was 25 and I thought it'd be great, and it was the worst experience of my life. I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't realize existed in the ditches that do that.
Well, there's a thing.
Anyway,
There's a lot of things that are inherently toxic to varying degrees. Okay, so I mean,
well, the
it's
reality is,
it's always the dose that's the poison, right?
right. I mean, its natural defense is to poison what's eating it, and when you get poisoned, sometimes things like mushrooms or something like that, that's what it does to you.
Yep.
Peyote was the
Yep.
thing down in the old west, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, do you remember the old book, The Anarchist Cookbook?
Oh, why do I think that I read that on the DL back in junior high, and it's felt like you shouldn't
Okay,
have been reading it?
so back then it was like they took your name when you bought it, and the police had kept records of all the kids who had bought this book. Apparently, that was the mystique behind it. So it was like, oh my god, am I
Really?
going to order this book? I've got to go there. I so you had to get it, and you order it in. They're like, can I get your name, please? And it's like, oh shit, yeah, here it is. And then you get it, and the book is, it's like forbidden, and it's like, oh my god. And then you start reading it, and they talks about the recipe to make a hallucinogenic out of banana skins, the mellow yellow, right?
Really? And
Yeah,
did people actually believe that the police were keeping track of who was buying these books?
dude, when you're 14, 15, you believe any of that stuff.
You know what I love about when we were young? Oh, hey, Pebbles is here and Tash is here. Hey, everybody. Molly's here. Polar Bear's here. How's it going, guys? So we believed a lot of things when we were younger without the use of the internet, right?
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
tell me if you remember this. Does anybody remember this stuff? Like the rumors that Marilyn Manson was the kid from the Wonder Years,
Yep, I remember that one. Yep,
that he was the dorky guy from the Wonder Years.
yeah, I
And
remember that one.
everybody thought that that was real. We all
Yeah,
believed that. And we didn't have social media to share
yeah,
that with us. That story got around for a long time. Or Len, remember Steal My Sunshine?
yep, yep.
Okay, apparently some of those people from that band went to Neelin or went to, yeah, they were Brandon kids.
Nealon or
And we
Crocus or
believed that.
wherever, right? Of course, because the
Right.
wilder
So
the story, it's like, why would somebody lie about this? It's like everyone when they were 14 or 15, they knew that guy that was, sleeping with the teacher or the librarian or something, because and you always believed it, because why would you lie?
but remember when the internet came out and if someone told you something you didn't believe, they'd say, "Well, I saw it on the internet."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we believed it to be true. Like, well, obviously somebody researched this because there's no
Why would it be
way.
up there? Yeah, exactly.
Why would somebody put this on a website if it's not true? So
See,
we
now here's
had
the irony. Here's the irony with that. Okay, just gonna say
okay.
this, because now we're in that position where we know all this stuff. There, we know we were told by our parents, don't believe everything you see online, don't believe everything you see on TV, and now we've got the older generation believing everything they see on the internet.
AI is going to be rough on boomers
Very rough. Yep.
because it looks pretty convincing.
There's stuff that I saw. I saw a news release that this lady's talking. I mean, well, there's a shark swimming around or something, and she's like, "I'm not real. This is all AI."
Yeah, and here's the problem with that. And I think we talked about this a few streams ago, is that somebody could take you, your face, your
Yep.
everything, your voice,
Yep.
and have you doing whatever they want you to do, and it will look very convincing.
Yep. Very much.
And
Yep.
that's where you're going to see people. This is going to take online bullying, and it's going to turn it into online blackmail.
Yep.
To another
Yep.
level.
Exactly.
And it's
because
terrifying.
now you can be caught doing. Somebody can make a picture of you doing whatever you wanted. Oh, here we go. Okay, just gonna say this: the Anarchist Cookbook is on
Okay.
Amazon. It is $23.95, or the Kindle version is $13. So if you want a blast from the past, there you go.
I remember getting a book put in front of me that apparently was another one of these illegally banned books, and it was called The Poor Man's James Bond.
I had that one too. I mean, I knew a guy who had that one too.
I knew a guy that I boarded from for half an hour.
Yeah.
But we had these books, and you'd sneak it into your bag and make sure nobody saw that you had it. And it showed you how to put like smoke screen behind your car, how to
you put the bleach on the tires so the smoke out, like, or something like that, right? I heard.
Yeah, they had a lot of things. So there were actually some quite deadly secrets in there too that were, like I don't even want to talk about on the stream because it was apparently you could do certain things with cigarette butts that could end somebody.
Really?
By putting it
now,
in your drink. Oh yeah.
How legit? What do you think that? Like, I mean, I don't want to find out, right? But it's like you really have to wonder, like, how much of the stuff was just fantastic. Somebody thought of it when they were high on something and decided to make a book on it.
Okay, well, I would go with this way. How many self-help books have we seen that are bullshit?
Okay. Well, there's a good topic because there's a lot of self-help out there right now, especially when it comes to different writers and everything, because now it's the trendy thing for like the past about 10 years is you got to publish a book, right?
Right.
Gives you credibility.
Who's to say that back then, and you had to pay to get these things published back in the day because they were solid books.
Yeah.
So someone came up with something that was so outrageous that people believed it and they read it or they bought it and then they sneak the book. Like the forbidden fruit is what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
And was it real? I don't know. I thought I was badass because I read it once and I was like, what am I going to do with this information? Nothing.
Exactly. But just in case there's like a zombie apocalypse or something, right? It's good to have some survivalist skill set, even if it's not real.
I think that we've covered this before where we both believe that we would survive a zombie apocalypse. I think we've got our plan down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Here's the problem with that one. People are very passive, right? Like society is much more passive than it's ever been. And we put up with more shit than we've ever put up with. So I think you'd have to be relatively aggressive to be able to survive something like that.
I think so.
Like, capable of it anyway.
So I just found the Poor Man's James Bond here, revision 1 on the Internet Archive. You can get the whole digital format here, and it's right here. Yeah,
you know what?
Send it over to you. Yeah.
Just for searching that, you know that you're registered now somewhere.
Oh God, the cops have my name now, don't they?
Now they have your name, but I mean,
oh my God,
you had it coming. I told you not to look for it.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said don't look for it, you know damn straight that somebody's going to look for it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Did you maybe you'll get it for Father's Day?
Wouldn't that be a thing? Okay. So, what do you get a father for Father's Day? I was having a discussion with a friend today, and we were talking about that. And I was like, "What do you even get?" He said a motorcycle. Get your dad a motorcycle.
Well, my father has passed away, so I have his motorcycle now. But what does a dad want? Ladies, we've got some people in the chat. What do you think your husband or what do you think dads want? Oh, congratulations. Pebbles graduated from college today.
Very good.
That
Well
is
done.
awesome. That is, we all need an education, and she's officially way smarter than I'll ever be. Good
Yep,
job, Pebbles.
that's fair.
Absolutely.
So yeah, for Father's Day, what the heck? What do you want for Father's Day?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, I never want anything. Like I here's the thing. There are certain I love our kids, so I mean I just want to chill with them. I know it says love is all you need, but the reality is I'm just cool hanging out. They always get me something. They still make stuff at school, which is awesome.
yep,
And
yep.
I still get something cool, which is I appreciate it. I think it's super awesome, but I don't even know what I want. That's my problem. I have no preferences in anything. I'm like I don't shop. I just kind of get things when I need them. And Kelsey and
Yeah.
the kids are always really good surprising me with things.
Yep.
Like what did I get? Usually there's beef jerky involved. There's I
Hey,
remember
beef jerky is a solid gift.
I got a drink smoker once.
Those are fun. I've got one of those. Those are fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So you put the thing on top of your glass, you put the wood
Yeah.
chips in it,
Blow
then you
torch
torch it
it and yeah.
and you smoke your bourbon. And that's
Yep.
cool because I wouldn't buy it for myself. Actually, here's what I think Father's Day is great for. It's for the things your husband has probably looked at and wanted to buy, but it's a ridiculous dumb thing to get.
Yep.
And he knows that he'd hear about it if he bought it for himself. So the kids get it for him for Father's Day.
There you go. Legos. There you go. Like I've got a whole bunch of Lego on the floor I've got to put together again. Yeah, it all fell apart when we moved into this house 8 years ago. I still haven't put it together yet.
What
It's
is
not
it?
as much fun putting it together at the second time, right?
Do you still have the instructions?
You know, well, you just download them off the internet, but it's still not the same. When you've done it once, it's like, okay, it's kind of done. You know, it's
What is
cool.
it? Is it a Death Star? Is it Star Wars themed?
Oh, I wish it was the Death Star. I wish.
Can you imagine if you got a
You see
Death Star
how
for Father's Day?
Jesus, you see how much those things are?
Yeah, but I mean, come on, you deserve it.
Oh God, those things are over $1,000.
You know, really?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, man.
that's
That's what like it's crazy. Like let me find out if there's something on Amazon here. I don't think there is. They can get little one, like there's like these little things, but I mean it's $133, you know. When it comes
for.
to just for a small one. Yeah.
But the thing is, those are they're like puzzle sets for adults. And
Yep.
Gage loves Lego, and that guy our son can just bang them out. He just gets there and does
Yep.
it. I
Yep.
just get frustrated real quick. Although I think it's a good stress reliever.
It is. The one that I've got right now I've got put together is a Star Destroyer. So it's in pieces right now. But like I've
That's
got
not
it's
small.
pretty big. Yeah, it's big. It was a few $100 back then. But here you go. Lego Death Star on eBay is $1,100. Now if you want the original trilogy on Amazon, this one is it's a little bit more. This is $7,900 on Amazon.
This is
I don't know
for
how accurate that is. A Death Star. Yeah.
I almost bought a DeLorean.
Like
And
a
then I
real
realized that
DeLorean or the Lego DeLorean.
either one I'd love. I think I could get away with buying the Lego DeLorean without hearing about it.
Yeah.
Then I realized I realized that I'm in my 40s, and why am I buying a Lego DeLorean? So I did not.
Okay. Right. Right.
But I think
When
that
one of my
yeah,
first vehicles I wanted to get was a DeLorean.
I would still buy
Back
a
before they
DeLorean
were
in a heartbeat.
ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You see how much they
Yeah.
cost now, though. Holy jeez.
The thing is, they weren't a good vehicle. They were heavy and they were
No.
underpowered. They were a piece of shit.
Oh, they weren't good, but they looked cool. Like I guarantee that people who bought the DeLorean thinking it was going to be like Back to the Future were sorely disappointed, right? I have a
I don't even
Millennium
think it
Falcon,
would.
not the full size one, but I've got one that I actually got with Avion points, so it's a few $100s. But the big Millennium Falcon's over $1,000.
Yeah, I don't think I convinced
It's a
myself to
lot.
buy that. I really don't.
You
And I
know,
mean, when it comes
I've
to
been working on that for years.
really, I
I'm
think when it
trying to
comes to
get myself
Father's
to
Day
buy for
versus,
years. Yeah.
I think when it comes to Father's Day versus Mother's Day is you better not forget it. And who
Yeah.
would really? $844 US. Jesus, Molly, that's
There you
expensive.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my wife would
If
be
you,
just excited at the same time.
full size one is 1,049 for the
I'm like, honey, we got to get rid of the coffee table. Why? Don't ask. Just say there's. She'd be like, what the hell is an aluminum Falcon? I'm like,
Well, it's 4 feet wide, man, or something like that. It's like it's really freaking big. You know, like it's close to scale size, right?
necessary, but
But you know, when I got the smaller version, like even the small one was, you know, it was a good size, and I had set up just on the dining room table, and what was actually really neat was it was just there, and every morning, just I somebody would be just putting a few pieces together, right? So like the kids would be putting on, my son would put a few pieces on, or my wife would put a few pieces on, and it was just like, hey, it was kind of neat because it was just open build, and people were just putting a few pieces on here and there, and you get to see it progress.
and that's cool. I think that's little projects that everybody can get in on is cool. I wish everybody
Yeah,
could jump in on the staining the deck project that I've started. No one's hopping on that right now.
yeah. Nobody finds that one very cool,
No, but
unfortunately.
again, Mother's Day
You,
versus Father's Day. I think that Mother's Day is. I'll tell you, moms go through a whole lot more to have a baby than we do.
sure, yeah, they do. Yep. We just sort of hang
Right.
back and get a free
So,
pizza when the kids are born, right?
oh, I was eating the sandwiches out of the fridge like crazy.
Okay, there you go.
That word for us apparently, but no one told me
That's
that. I just
easy.
heard that they weren't for us. But no, we
They're the
father.
staff.
I think, yeah, yeah. I have this one that says
Whoever
Karen. I
the
don't know what that's all
sandwiches.
about. Just random sandwiches. Oh, look, someone had a
Yeah,
juice box too.
exactly. Great.
But I think that Father's Day is we appreciate it, but we're not gonna be like upset if you forgot about it.
No, no, not overly. You know, God, I was tempted this year just to throw stakes high and just say, get a Blackstone or something like that, big barbecue.
Did I tell you that I was surprised with the barbecue a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
No, what?
Yeah, Kelsey gets home from work one night, and she goes, "Hey, could you grab this out of the back of the Pathfinder?" I'm like, "Sure." And it's a brand new barbecue. I'm like, "Okay." Mine was turning into a fire hazard because I have a charcoal propane one, half and
Yeah,
half, and I cook on charcoal 90% of the time. But it was literally something was gonna fall through it eventually.
yeah. Somebody's just
So
gonna
I was gonna
die.
buy one. Yeah. So she had this. I'm like, "Oh God, thank you. I love you. This is awesome." And
Yeah,
then I look at the deck. I'm like, ugh, I really need to strip and stain this deck. So before I put a new barbecue on it, I should do this. I mean, I told
that's
Kelsey I
right.
was going to do it. She reminds me about every 2 years. So
Yeah,
I got to it. So
you don't need to keep
immediately I
reminding us
sanded
every
and
5 years
stripped
or
it.
so. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it'll happen. I mean, trust me. You just
yeah.
wait for me. It's happening. But now it's
We
stripped.
get
I got
it.
to wait for it to dry and then I'll put it together. But no, I think
Yeah,
that
exactly.
let's gingerly saunter into a fairly very close to home topic that we decided we were going to cover today. And first of all, guys, yeah, we're pretty loosey goosey when we're talking, and we're going to be stepping very gingerly on this topic. Okay, guys? And
Yeah, we do not want to offend anybody because it's a very sensitive area, especially right
of
now,
course it
right?
is, but I do think that it's worthy of a conversation. Um, so Gage asked me because Kelsey and I were talking about it. He goes, "What happened?" And I'm not going to shy away from what happened.
Mm,
And I
yeah,
told him. And he said,
yeah,
"Why do you think this? Why? Why?" The why question came up. I said, "Dude, there's a lot of reasons this could have happened, and we're not going to get the answers because it's none of our business as to what happened." Um,
yeah,
but I had to really find a way to not drill it into his head, but the message had to be clear that we should be treating everybody with as much respect as we can and just be nice. Whether you like somebody or not, you don't.
yeah,
I could not like somebody, but I'll be nice to them, and I've taught them that from day one.
yeah,
Like you don't have to like everybody, just be nice
yeah,
to everybody. And
yeah. Just be kind and be respectful to people,
right, and
right? That's what it comes down to.
it did. And he goes, okay. I go, well, here's the thing. we don't know if somebody was picked on. We don't know if somebody felt like garbage whenever they went to school. We don't know if somebody was a jerk.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know what happened. But
Yeah.
there's popularity is fleeting. You don't have to be popular. You just have to be decent. And
Yep. You have to be kind. You have to be a decent person. Absolutely. And that's sometimes a hard thing to do when it's when you're a kid, a young kid, very emotionally charged or whatever, trying to do things on your own, trying to be the grown up, trying to be mature at the same time, right?
well,
It's a tough thing to do.
and when you're a teenager, that's where I think life takes a real turn, right? Like when you're a kid, let's
Yeah.
say go up to grade 7, like maybe up to the age of 13.
Yeah.
You're a kid. You're worried about playing with Lego and playing Foursquare and kicking a ball around. And then suddenly our
Yeah.
lives change to where we're really concerned about what people think of us. We really want to fit in. And if we
Yeah.
don't fit in, what's wrong with us? And
Exactly.
and I think that when you have a society that's changed in a way that it's not just about how popular you are in school anymore. You've also got a
Yeah.
online world that can make you feel like absolute garbage. That can
Yeah. Very much
well,
so.
because reality is we put our best everything online. You're not going to put a shitty day online.
Yep.
And
No, people are when it comes to online, it is always the mask that you hide behind that you want to share with other people.
yeah, and I mean, I would say that myself, when I do my short videos and stuff, I would say that it's a enhanced caricature of me. That makes sense? Like I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
much different than what I do when I blast out my TikToks and that. I that's me, but it's just ramped up a little bit. Now,
Yeah.
so there's
Exactly.
not a huge difference between that and my normal persona, but when you look at kids that or anybody who's just trying to show off or make it look like they're
Yeah.
this and look like they're that, then the people around them tend to feel like garbage, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? The
And
comparison is
they don't know how to handle
no, and
things.
comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yes.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
when you're a kid, like, did you ever have a sun ice jacket?
Of course, who
I didn't.
didn't? Right.
I didn't have a sun ice jacket.
Oh,
Right.
really?
So this
Okay.
is like we're gonna roll this back into the 90s and say, what would have made you feel like an
I
outcast?
absolutely had
Right.
one.
Now, I remember asking for one, and my dad said,
Yeah.
"Are you a professional skier? Like, what the hell do you need a sun ice jacket for?" And to scale those
Yeah.
jackets, if you take it into today's dollars, would be like having a oh god, what are the
Canada
that'd
Goose
be
or
like the
something.
Canada Goose jacket that the soccer mom wears to get out of her
Yeah.
Explorer and into her house and never go out in the cold.
Yeah.
It's hard to shake off that stuff as a kid. It's run away, don't matter what. You know what? It's hard to shake it off, but again, we're being really careful here tonight. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we grew up in a time like I played football, okay? And the football team, we were kind of different than the volleyball basketball guys. We were different than the hockey guys. We were a mixture of farm boys, and it was just a rougher kind of group.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Exactly. You can get
we
a few
were also that
bruisers or
group
what,
that
and it was just normal.
right, but we were also some of us, I'm not saying all of us, but let's just say there was the nerd in school, right?
Yeah.
The kid that was the outcast, and there was a bully picking on the easy target. We
Yeah.
would have been the first ones to step up and get between them.
Yeah.
And that wasn't uncommon. Be like, leave them alone or you're going to deal with us. And I
Yeah.
think that might be something that's changed in the last while where people used to stand up
Yeah.
for strangers in school.
Well,
Like,
we don't.
correct me
We
if I'm
get
wrong.
there's a problem with that even down in a lot of the cities. Where people will flat out walk by like a crime or an assault or something because they don't want to be involved. They don't want to be. They don't want that sort of thing, right? They don't want to be, the person to stick around, maybe make a police report, maybe to give their name, or maybe get attacked or targeted or whatever it might be later on,
Right.
right? So like that's not a new phenomenon. It's just we're seeing it a lot more. It's like at the local levels at the school systems even, right?
But
Which is
well,
too
even
bad.
at the school level, this was an interesting story that I read that most schools keep violent incidents secret. The CBC surveyed
Right.
4,000 schools,
Okay.
and a lot of these things are not being reported. So, again, this is my opinion. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just a guy that reads stuff and talks to Jay. But if you've got a majority of schools that are not reporting things that are happening, things tend to pile up.
It's true. And I remember having an incident when my son was younger, right? And
Right?
um, the police were like, "Do you want to press charges?" And
Okay.
we were of the mindset of, no, we want this to go away. We don't want to instigate it. We don't want it to make it worse. We don't want to magnify it to have more repercussions. So we passed on it, right? No, no, no. We just want this and want it to go away. And that was a big mistake because then they
Mhm.
just sort of went, huh, so nothing's happening. So we're just going to push harder, right? And it spiraled and it got worse and worse.
Right.
So that was kind of the big wake up call that if you ever get the option to press charges, you press charges. They're not going to go
Yeah.
to jail, but at least there's a paper trail, there's a record of things, and there's things that are moving along for protection.
Yeah. And when things like this do happen, like I remember, I think I told you the story about 3 years ago when Gage got cold cocked when he was at school building a snow fort in grade
Yep.
4.
Yep.
Um, and I had a conversation to the tune of, um, what's the deal? How come there are no repercussions for this kid? Now, this kid had what they
Yeah.
called impulse control problems. And I said, okay, well, where were his workers? They were doing whatever else but watching this kid.
Right.
And the conversation got a little heated with myself and the principal. And I said, here, this child was not looked after properly. My kid has his first concussion at the ripe age of 7, I believe it was. And there will be
Right.
no repercussions. I go, what would have happened if he would have hit that kid? It'd be a different
Yep.
story. Something needs to change, and there needs to be reporting instantly if there's anything going on. If anybody gets hurt, just let me know. And to that, he said, well, if you don't feel like your kids are safe here, they're welcome to go to another school.
Well, okay.
Really? Okay. So I said, I'll give you 48 hours to change your policies, or this is going to go to another level because
Right.
I'm not going to sit
Yeah.
with this. So of course I went to the superintendent, and if you look at the pecking order, teachers don't want to deal with the principal. The principal definitely doesn't want to deal with the
Yeah.
superintendent, and the superintendent does not want this to go public.
Yes,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, they will not. Like they were like, please don't go to the paper with this. I'm like, why not? Well, we don't want our school named. Really? Well, then you better change some stuff. So they changed policies and procedures within 48 hours for me. And
Okay.
as soon as I don't care if the kid scrapes his knee, let me know that it happened. I'll deal with it. Now it's my problem.
Um, that's fair.
Yeah. Why are you freezing up? Am I coming through to you? Guys, is Jay looking right to you, or is he choppy? Is it just me? You're muted. You're very muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I lost
Oh,
permission
there
to
we
use my
go.
microphone there for. I had the thing pop up. Microphone permission denied.
Oh, denied. I think high school should have security checking bags. Well, okay, let's look at that, guys. I wasn't going to go that far, but let's talk about it. So I don't know if you guys saw the thumbnail I made for this, and it was actually um, bulletproof backpacks for children. Has everybody seen these? I'm going to put them up. These things convert, and I mean, when I say they make things that are for kids, they do make things like this for children that have pink ponies on them and unicorns, or straight up just a black backpack.
Right.
and they are designed to stop a bullet. Now, that is a level of fear that I think that nobody wants their kids to be in
Yeah,
danger.
exactly.
But this is 100% reality. Like these are, I'm trying to find a really good picture of one. Okay, let's see if this shows it. In case anybody wants to know who wants to be disturbed by something, I'm going to show you something that,
Weird.
come on, share. Okay, guys, what do you think of those? Those are bulletproof backpacks for children. Can everybody see that? Now, the idea of having to buy one of these is terrifying. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say that's less than ideal. So
Right. So again, you could, but are we there yet? Are we sitting in
no,
a, are we like, what would it take for this to be a reality? Because it's a reality in a lot of states. It's a reality in a lot of places. But the fact that that exists on the market, which I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. Jay, did your camera just go out? Okay.
I'm having
Technical
technical
difficulty.
issues here, man. I'm having technical
We gotta
issues
get a
here.
cousin to making you one.
I guess so.
But the fact that that exists, and the fact that these are readily available, and people are shopping for these for back to school,
Yeah.
tells me that this has gotten worse, not better. And
Well,
you could look at
I wouldn't say necessarily. I would say that
okay,
people have stepped up with opportunities.
that's a better way of putting it. You're right.
You know, it's one of those
Who
things
would have
where,
thought that this would ever be necessary?
right? Like, I've never seen that before. You know, is it necessary? Probably not. Is it actually? What the hell? Is it necessary? Probably not. But I mean, somebody's going to buy it. You know, usually people with too much money or in really bad situations or whatever it might be. I guess.
Sure.
But are they actually selling these things? Like, we have no idea if those are things that people actually buy.
True. That's true.
You know?
But I mean, there's a lot of different companies that make them. A lot of different companies that make them. So I mean, there
Yeah,
has to be a market for it.
that's fair.
But I think
I mean, you've got 350 million people down in the states.
well, and their numbers are shocking. Not shocking, but if I was to look at it, like if you go at shootings, where do you think the states are in 2025?
I have no idea.
288 in
Really?
schools. Yep. China,
Zero?
1.
One that they've declared, anyways.
Russia, 1. Turkey, 1. Germany, 1. France, 1. Nigeria, 4. South Africa, 6. Brazil, 2.
Right.
How many do you think Canada's had?
I don't know.
2025. Have you heard of any reported?
I haven't heard any. No.
2. There's been
Okay.
2. So I don't want to say that it's definitely disturbing when we hear this happens. However, the sad thing is that's not shocking.
No. Especially in the States, which is unreal. Just unreal.
Right. Now when it happens in our small community, it wasn't a shooting, by the way. It was different. But when we hear of this happening, it hits home, but it's not as shocking as it would have been 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I remember being in go ahead.
At least I'm going to say this: there's been a huge amount of support from the community for the people involved.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's
There's
the
been
good thing
fundraising, there's
about
been things.
yeah, and I think that's great because we are a community that I believe cares about the people who live here,
Yeah.
and because this is such a new, it's fresh. Will we look at schools differently now? Are we going to be a little bit more proactive? You complain about gun rights, and you thank people who complain about the gun rights because it's constitutional. Well,
The
Molly,
nice thing about the Constitution is it can be changed, and that was the intention of the Constitution on its creation.
it can be, but I mean, when you look at when you look at guns as a whole, okay, I'm a hunter. I pull one rifle out for a day or two during hunting season, and
Yeah,
that's it. Um, our kids are aware that I've got them. They respect them. Gage has gone shooting with me, um, but it's nothing more than a tool. But we weren't raised with that as part of our. Um, it's not part of our culture. The gun culture in the states is much different than the gun culture here.
yep, very much.
It's yeah, it's it. For the most part, we're a nation of hunters, and do I think that it's a constitutional right to have it? No, it is, but I mean,
Well, not in Canada, anyways, right?
no, I mean, if oh, you talk about like
But
handguns and that.
in general, like for one thing, right? The Americans are definitely different. I mean, you go look at this at the time. You're looking at a time when it
Mhm.
was, a gun wasn't purchased for the sake of it being a gun. It was a tool that was used either in defense or for like against animals or whatever, hunting and everything. And it was also, a kind of a time of a lot of upheaval in that area. So
Yeah. And when you look at the Molly saying rifles, stuff like that are fine, but assault rifles and automatic stuff. Okay, so as somebody who shoots, I don't know if you've ever shot like a fully automatic. You're not going to get here in Canada, but
no,
I'm a traditional. I like a bolt action rifle, a lever
yeah,
action rifle. I don't like semi-automatics. Like I have, but I believe that if you pull the trigger twice, that third shot's just out of frustration. Like when you're out goose hunting and you have a semi-automatic shotgun. I
yeah.
have a double barrel old arm cannon. Like this thing will blast your shoulder off, and it looks like something from the Wild West. And it's a double barrel, and it's boom, boom. And trust me, and your semi-auto only has three shots in it anyway.
Yep.
If you missed in two, you're not going to hit it in three.
Yep.
So
Unless you have three targets.
unless you have three targets, but if it's geese and you're
And
shooting and
but that's why
you're
people
shooting
like
at
semi-autos, right? So
yeah, I have one. I inherited it, and I'm not actually. I don't think I've shot it. No, I've shot it once. I was like, this is stupid. I'm just going to shoot my old double barrel because I'm used to it. But
yeah,
no, I think that the gun culture is different here than it is in the States. Um, we are raised in that there were never a defense weapon here
yeah, correct.
by normal standards. So no one's going to grab that, right? And when you hear people doing things like this in the States, they have access, right? The first thing is having
Yep.
access. That's the biggest one. Like I was looking at reasons, and where is it? Some of the key things that could make this happen. One, where is it? Causes. Obviously, they list things like mental health issues and lack of support services, family dysfunction, peer pressure, ineffective school policies, and lack of enforcement. That's a big
Right.
one. Understaffed schools and overwhelmed educators.
Yeah. That's a huge thing
That's
that we hear about all the time.
and I think that when you have when you're stacking kids like cordwood in a school built for 400 and you've got 800 in there,
Yeah.
that's a problem. And
Yeah.
the teachers they can't pay the attention. And I'm not going to blame the teachers,
No.
but there's only so much a person can do.
Exactly.
So
Eventually you're stretched too thin, right?
absolutely. And the attention that maybe these kids need in these formidable years isn't happening.
Well, I mean,
Right.
look at Brandon. How many schools have they built since you were in high school
We're
or
net
elementary
zero.
school?
None. We have no extra schools because they shut one down
Right.
and built one, which was
Exactly.
too small.
Yeah.
Molly says, I've heard of so many people improperly storing them as well. There's a problem.
Yeah.
So if you have kids, and again, it depends what your kids are raised like, but mine are in lockers. Like I
Yeah.
have two vaults, and the ammo is in a different building. It's not
Yeah.
even in the house. Like
Yeah.
everything has to be done legally and stored separately. So you might be able to get one, but you're not going to get the other, and neither one of them work without the other. So
Yeah.
I've been very careful with that, but I was always raised. Oh, Jayon, show them your pooch.
Oh, wow. It's getting
It's-
personal.
I didn't realize
Yes.
it's that kind of show.
So come here, Nilo. This little guy is being sick.
Terrifying.
So, yeah, so he's been very all over the place. Being in the vets, they've been doing tests on him and everything. So
Oh, really?
poor little guy. Yep. So now he's sitting on me because he needs to be loved, I guess. You know.
We all need to be loved.
Yeah.
We all need to be loved. And maybe if we were just a little more loving, we would, if we were more kind and less superficial, maybe we'd be seeing a little less animosity.
Well, people
Again.
are also here's a big thing that's changed drastically in the last few years. You're gonna go
Okay.
down is distraction. Okay. So people are not present anymore. People are very distracted. They're on their devices.
Yep.
They're doing whatever, watching Netflix or whatever. So as a result, people tend to be neglected, kind of like what I'm doing to this poor guy who's looking up at me saying, I want attention. You know, they get
Right.
neglected. Same thing with kids. Kids are on their devices. They're getting a lot of exposure to the outside world. They're seeing things that are fictional. You know, like that's the big thing from YouTube. All those YouTube shows that they're watching, they don't fully have the capability to understand it's not real. You know, that kids aren't really doing this. Like, no, that 13-year-old kid isn't driving a Lamborghini.
Right. And that's where YouTube has really created this world where it's sold as real because
Yeah,
it's done with a phone. It's done kind of it's not studio quality, most of it. So people believe that this is real because it's YouTube. And
exactly. Yep.
again, like our kids know that movies are fake. They 100% know the movies are fake. They're not
Yep.
being
Yep.
influenced by movies. They're not being influenced by music. Remember when music was influencing people?
Oh, you know, like, and people thought that if you listen to rap music or heavy metal or something, you were going to turn into a Satan worshiper or a gangster or something like that, right?
Yeah, it was
It's like,
if you
oh.
played Judas Priest backwards, it was chanting.
It was
Everything
even the
sounds
Beatles and stuff backwards. It was like,
everything
oh my
sounds like
god.
demons if you play it backwards. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
But
there's nothing to see here, people. You know.
right. But again, here you go. Easy access to weapons. There's a problem. Like
Yeah,
I believe 100% that if you have access to it and your kids have access to it, if they
it's not
had
gonna be good.
access, if you have access to something like this and you're thinking of doing something really dark,
Yeah.
you're probably going to grab that before you grab a bat, right?
Well, I'll
So,
also say this. So when I was in Winnipeg at the Health Science Center, we walked into the emergency room. Okay, and at the front door, like going in, there was a sign that said, you know, no knives, no guns, no hammers.
did you say hammers?
Hammers,
There's a sign that says no hammers.
no hammers. So I
That's
mean,
pretty on
apparently,
the nose.
apparently, if you think about it, though, and like if you like, so you can carry a hammer down the street, but what a fantastic weapon! It's a mace.
It's a horrifying way to do something.
Yeah.
Like, why am I thinking of American Psycho right now? Did he not take a hammer to somebody?
Oh, I don't know.
Definitely an axe.
Yeah, American Psycho. He used an axe,
But
chainsaw too.
that's a very personal weapon. I mean, again, to use a hammer, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a bizarre thing. It was a bizarre sign. I should have taken a picture of it because I was so surprised. Shows you how out of touch I am with a lot of things that happen. And, you know, like I was like shocked by seeing this sort of thing. But you know, it's a real thing in some areas. Just how the violence is so incredible, right?
I remember one of the worst things I saw when it came to that. Remember the club that you used to put across your steering wheel?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
I remember being at 7-Eleven on 34th Street, and this was high school ish. I was probably 17. And this
yeah.
guy pulled in with his car, another high school guy, pulled up beside a couple people and cracked someone like with the club out, like reached out of his car and just whacked him with it and then drove away.
Well, I guess it works.
Well,
Like,
everybody knew who he
God,
was, and I believe the police were called and he was taken care of pretty quickly. But this guy was a loose end. Oh, big time.
wow. Like that's crazy though.
Mm-hmm.
There's there was always that guy, you know, that just was off his rocker, you know. But
Well, we had
like that's scary though.
that's scary, but I mean, we also had something that, again, I'm not condoning things. I'm talking about the way things were. Okay, I am not a doctor,
Right.
but we had something called 3 o'clock by the bike racks. Okay, and
Yes.
if
Yes.
someone was pushing you or picking on you or whatever it was, and you called them out on it,
Yep.
it was 3 o'clock by the
Yep.
bike racks, and it was dealt with right then and there. And there wasn't any
Yep.
retaliation. It was a fair fight, and everybody gathered
Yep.
around it. It would be a half circle of people watching this. And dude, I ended up good buddies with a guy after something like that. Like, you ended up friends with the guy because suddenly you
Yeah.
respected each other a little bit more, because no longer was one the easy
Yeah.
target and the other one the bully. And again, I'm not saying that was the
Well, times
answer.
are a little different.
Right, but
You
we
probably saw some different things like that when you were working the bar, right?
at the bar, I've seen a drunken fight is different than retaliation and a pre-planned attack.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
people are drunk at the bar, they do stupid things. Now, we used to have, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
we did have people that, there were a couple of guys, one that I can remember vividly. This guy just liked to get into fights. He would just pick a fight every night, and he would lose every single time. All the time. But he was
Yeah.
just a shit disturber. And
Yeah.
what do you do with that?
I don't even know. You can't. Do you kick the person out? Do you prevent them from coming in?
Right, but we grew up with kids that were fighters. We grew up with, you knew
Yes.
somebody in school that nobody wanted to mess with, because the guy just liked, he
Of
just liked
course,
to throw
yeah.
down. He had bloody knuckles all the time. And
Yeah.
but was that person a bully? Sometimes.
Sometimes they were, and sometimes they were the bully that you wanted on your side.
And there you go. So you had the guy that was the enemy of most that was cool with you, so you just
Yeah.
sort of let him be. I think
Yeah.
I think what we've got is maybe less less direct confrontation at the moment, and a lot of this
Yeah.
bubbling up and sitting in you.
Yeah.
And
Just stewing up in the pot there, right?
well, how many conversations have you had with your steering wheel?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, tons, right? You just have that talk, those deep confessionals while you're driving to work or something,
Or you're
right?
pissed off about something, so you just and you're yelling at
Sort it through in your head, right?
right. Now, what happens, and as an adult, I think we do that just to get it out. Like, the
Yeah.
things I would say if I was in front of you, and this is how I would say it, and this is how I would do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you
Yeah.
get home and you're like, "Yes, dear, the lasagna tastes fantastic."
Yeah. Sometimes you got to vocalize these things, but you don't have to act on them, right?
No, and I'm not big on raising my voice. I don't think that another adult, like, here's the thing, you're gonna bark at your kids every once in a while, but I'll tell you right now,
Yeah.
I ain't raising my voice at my wife. Ain't gonna happen. Right? Like,
Right.
that's just, you don't. And
Well, do you remember when we watched when they had the Johnny Depp thing going
Yep.
on, right?
Yep.
With at the end, it was she had planted the video to record his reaction when she said something, and he or something on the way by, and people were
Yeah.
using that as this is an example of toxic masculinity. This is a man who doesn't know how to control his anger, doesn't know how to control his emotions. He's a dangerous person. I was like, what are you talking about? He slammed a door. He's taking it out on an inanimate object that he owns. That's like punching a pillow.
Right. So if you went out to the garage and punched the punching bag, is that better? I would say it's better. Like, just leave the situation before it gets violent. Oh, Pebbles, are you talking about nightmare fuel? He likes
don't
something
even know
called
what that is.
Siren Head. Siren Head. I'll tell you.
Siren
here's
Head
the
is
thing.
it's like a giant creature with a siren on his head. I've seen
Right.
that.
Remember Slender Man? And
Yeah.
okay, so let's dive into that. So we have these things that are targeted, or skibbity toilet.
I don't know what that is.
Take a look at it real quick. It's the most mind bend. It's just a mind fuck. But you've got
What
kids
the
that
hell
are,
is that?
exactly. So you've got kids that are being exposed to some, and I call it nightmare fuel,
Yeah.
that they don't need to have in their heads.
A war between toilets with human heads coming out of the bowls and humanoid characters with electronic devices for heads. What?
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. So I mean, we had Thundercats.
Yeah.
And they got this shit. And again, I love horror movies. I love that Gage loves horror movies. I love that.
Yeah.
But he knows that it's a movie. He knows that Jason isn't real and Freddy is entertaining as hell.
That's the thing. That's a little bit different when you can understand it. But if you haven't had somebody teaching you that, then how you just know the difference between real and non-real? So
Right. But when you have things that are designed, like by design, to freak the shit out of kids at younger ages, that stuff
Siren Head.
sits in their head for quite some time. Siren Head is also kind of nightmarish. Like
So
what the
it's
hell
the
is this?
urban legend, okay? And it's a 40-foot tall frame with 2 sirens for a head that it uses
Yeah.
to create a chilling sound.
Right. I've heard that sound too many times out of
Yeah,
out of
I've heard
TV.
it too. My
But
kids found that on Minecraft, and but thankfully they know it's not real because they were like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, why
it's
do you like this? And they said, because it's kind of fun to play Minecraft where you're doing some things and you're trying not to be seen by the monster. And I was like,
right.
that's fair. So I mean, and I played it with them too. So because like they don't play just free for all on Minecraft. So
I suck so bad at Minecraft, but every time Gage thinks that he's a gamer, I'm like, okay, let's throw Mortal Kombat in and I'll whoop your ass a bunch
yeah,
of times.
it's the Call of Duty on and see how you do, little guy. Here's a rocket launcher.
Yeah, try that.
How do you like it?
But and again, if you think that, like, I don't think that video games, okay, when we were younger, they'd say, or not us younger, but let's just say 10
Yeah,
years ago, they were saying that video games were influencing kids.
yeah,
I think that ship has sailed. I think it's a lot more of influencers and hashtag this, hashtag that. And they're
exactly.
seeing people get away with stuff, and they're seeing the infamy that
Yeah,
comes with it,
yeah.
right? Now,
So do video
no,
games influence it? According to like some of the research, majority of research indicates that the connection is weak or non-existent. And I've even seen some things that suggest that violent video games actually calm people down, right?
well, here's the thing: if you have to get it out on a screen. What's
Yeah,
wrong with that?
right.
Uh, are you using AI? What is the biggest influence?
Well, the peers for one thing, but also internet if you have no peers. If you're seeing influencers as your peers, that's going to be a problem, right?
Well,
That's why they say
but
never meet your idols, right? Because you'll always be
but
disappointed.
the people that you know, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, digital influence, cultural and systemic issues, overcrowded classrooms. I'll tell you what, every time
yeah,
that I search this out, the biggest ones are underreporting and normalization, family and community stressors, overcrowded classrooms comes in third or second.
yeah,
Every time I
yeah.
search this out, digital influence and cultural and systemic issues. So again, when you have so many people in a room in a building, yeah, we need more schools for sure.
Yeah. Need more teachers, and that also comes with paying more taxes, right? And that's where people get hung up.
Okay,
As far as I'm
so
concerned, take the money and put it towards the education and keep them safe, keep them educated, and help support the teachers. As far as I'm concerned, but that's
well,
just me.
and you have the education rebate. You know what? Axe that and build some schools. Like if that's part of your city
Yeah,
taxes, let it be there.
yeah.
You know, we bitch that there's no schools, but we want our rebate every year. Well, stop with the rebate and build a couple
Well,
schools.
that's okay. So I mean, there was a thing during the election because you had the Liberal Party get rid of the carbon tax, right? And people were upset because you're getting rid of the carbon tax, because that was a conservative
Sure.
mandate, right? But then shortly after, I saw online people complaining that they're not getting carbon tax rebate. It's like, so you do realize how this works. You wanted to get rid of the carbon tax, you don't get a rebate anymore. So they were upset that they're not getting rid of the carbon tax, making things cheaper and getting the rebate. It's like, so you want your cake and to have and eat
Well,
it too,
and you're
right?
right. Everybody wants to pay nothing, but back when I campaigned, when I ran for city council, the two biggest issues in our city, what do you think they were? I think I asked you this before. What do you think the two biggest issues were in the city?
Probably taxes for one, and probably like drugs or something along that line.
Crime and education were the two biggest topics that
Okay.
people had. And it was
Okay.
crime's up and
Yeah.
a lack of, or was perceived as not enough resources and lack of schools. So, okay, if I'm getting
Yeah.
back $2,000 or $1,500 or $800 or whatever I'm getting back for an education tax credit, how would you just
Yeah.
keep it
And build some
and build some
schools.
schools,
Yeah.
hire more police, hire more teachers, do the things that we're lacking. And if there's more
Yeah.
resources, that should help. I'm not going to say it's going to solve the problem, but it could relieve some pressure. Because if you're sitting in a pressure cooker, something's going to pop.
Totally. Unfortunately, that's kind of the problem with a lot of things is we don't have a lot of civic education anymore. People don't really understand the different levels of government, let alone the taxation and what it's used for. I remember years ago talking to a guy, and he was complaining about his
Right.
taxes. Okay, and fair, we all do, right? So he goes, for the amount of taxes that I pay in my house, I should be able. They should give me a new road every
Mm.
freaking year.
Th-
And I was like, well, how much are your taxes? And his taxes are like under $2,000. I was like, you realize it would cost more than that just to do the garbage removal to
You
your
realize
place.
we actually I figured this out. Based on the average taxes, it costs, what was it? The average family of four, $1 a day per head. I think that was the number.
Okay.
Roughly $1 a head to live in Brandon. And you're going to bitch it's going to cost you another dime? Come on. Like that dime goes a long way.
Well, if I'm not using it, then I shouldn't have to pay for it, right? It's like, well, this is also for, like for the greater society. If you want everything to collapse and fall apart, then of course, yeah, have everything for free, but then you don't get the
Well, that's like
nice
saying that if
things.
my house doesn't catch fire, why should I be paying for a fire department? Well, what if
Oh,
your neighbor's
exactly.
house
Yeah,
catches fire? You want them to put that out, don't you?
exactly.
So, and
Yeah,
when it comes to education, when you have overcrowded schools and people lose their, what's the word? Their ability just to be, right? It's that bit of
yeah,
space that you need. It's
yeah.
overwhelming. And I mean, it would
Yeah.
take 10 years to build 3 schools. Let's face it. It's not going to happen fast.
No, exactly.
So, and again, that would change all the catchment areas and all that. What's necessary in the schools though? Is it a okay, if they said your taxes are going to go up by $50 this year and we're going to
Yeah,
install security cameras and they all have or metal detectors and this, that, and everything else. You're going to have people that are split.
yeah,
One's going to say, absolutely put them in all the schools. The other half are going to say,
yeah,
I don't want my kids to have to go to a school where there's metal detectors.
yeah.
It's you can't please everybody. But when it comes to safety,
No,
I'm sure
yeah.
the same argument happened when seatbelts became a thing.
They were a big deal. I mean, even more close to comparison, you can look at when they started putting security cameras in England, and there was a lot of upset that England is the most watched country in the world at
Okay.
that point in time, and there was a lot of protests, and people were upset about it. And now people are like, "Oh, thank goodness, there's all these cameras here because we're catching these crimes."
Did you ever watch Clerks?
No, I actually
Okay, so in
didn't.
Clerks, and this is interesting. The guy was taking a break, or he was hanging out with his girlfriend behind the counter, and he just put a bowl with
Yeah,
change on the counter and said, "Make your own change."
yeah,
And the girl goes,
okay,
"Well, aren't you worried that they're going to just steal stuff?" He goes, "No. As soon as you put a bowl of change up there saying make your own change, they're going to assume there's cameras and that they're getting watched. So people tend to behave when they believe
that's
they're getting
fair.
watched.
Yeah,
So do
yeah,
I believe that cameras should be everywhere? Yeah, in schools for sure. I think that when you have kids that are, well, what's the word? They are vulnerable because they're children.
yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't have a problem with cameras everywhere. And there are cameras in most of the schools. I know that, like, I've seen the feed of our kids' school. Every corner, man.
yeah,
Like, no
yeah,
bullshit. They know what's happening, which they should. Because again, if you have this many students and enough teachers to take care of this many students, you better have eyes in the sky.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Which is sad that you have to have that sort of thing. But I mean, as far as safety is concerned, like you look at even the number of stores and everything that are starting to do
Yep.
security cameras, and not necessarily like in the building, but on the exteriors, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen when you go up to security measures in some places in the States, I mean, they're wanding you down. Like they have the metal wand that
Yeah,
Are we there? Like, I don't think we're there
Yeah.
here, but
Well, I remember the Greyhound used to have it before they closed. They used to have the wand and everything.
well, after the guy chopped the guy's head off,
That was before. That was even before.
really?
Yeah, yeah. You had to put all your stuff in the container, and they scanned you in the before you got onto the
So,
bus.
did
Yeah.
we become more dangerous in the last 20 years? Have we de-evolved?
I don't think so. I guess it's only one way you can take a look at some stats, I guess, and see is the world more violent. But I would like to think we had things like the Crusades were pretty horrible back then.
Right, but we also went through what they call a renaissance, right? Where we
Yeah.
went from being ultra violent to
Yeah.
becoming better people, more understanding, but then that splices off into subcultures and
Yeah.
and groups, and then they fight with each other because by nature we are tribal, right? So naturally we're tribal. We protect what's ours, and well, wait a minute, that person's different, so I'm going to protect myself from this guy
Yeah.
and protect myself from that guy.
Yeah.
And then two of those groups that were protecting themselves from other people join up, and that's how cultures form, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when you have a when you have this divide that focuses on our differences more than how we are alike,
Yeah.
it makes us look for differences. And then I don't like that.
Yep. That's
Like, I
fair.
don't like you're a vegetarian. I can't be around you because you're weird
Yeah.
to me.
Well, it's a classic divide and conquer, right?
Well, there's that. But I mean, when you were a kid, though, like let's look at when we were teenagers. What did you really care about as teenagers in our time? It's different than now,
Right.
right? Popularity.
Yes.
If you had 4 people in your life, you were good.
Yes. You have a few friends, you have the people that you hang out with, and you just weren't alone. You had a few laughs once in a while. And like I was that kid, at the end of the day, I just kind of went home or I went to work. Like I didn't really need to have to spend a lot of time hanging out with people.
Same here. I've worked since I
That
was
was
12
me.
years old, and I didn't have much of a social life, and I continued that tradition to today.
Right.
But we also had archetypes of teenagers, right? We
Yeah.
had types, and everybody seems to be the same. Like I can describe every high school kid as looking probably really the same. Sweatpants and for Christ's sake, socks with slides, hoodies, like it's all the same, right? Where
Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
your jocks, you had your rats, you had your
Yep.
jocks, rats, you had the farm boys, you had the
Farm boys, you had the band
yeah, the band geeks, you had the
geeks.
military guys, like
Yep.
the
Yep.
army brats, and they all had their tables at the cafeteria.
Yep.
Greasers, that's going
Yep.
back a while.
Yep.
Holy man, the greasers.
Yeah, this is the 50s there, eh?
But
But those archetypes are always classic, and like they're not really there anymore.
no. So here's the thing. If you had the goth kids, you had all that. So let's say when we
Yeah.
were kids, you had 7 different kind of subcultures within a high school. Okay.
Yeah.
And everybody found a place to fit in. But now, like if I say you could describe I say 99% of the kids are kind of on the same level as how they dress, how they act, how
Yeah.
they internet. What happens
Yeah.
if you don't fit into the 99%? If you're
Yeah, then you could be kind of an outcast,
the
right?
outcast. So
Yeah.
I believe that there's more alienation than there's ever been. Because there was always a group that was going to take you in when we were kids. I was
Yeah.
part of the rats.
Did you see the movie 21 Jump Street?
Absolutely.
So, like, I thought that movie was so incredibly well done because they came from the 90s and they had all the tropes. You had the one guy who was dressed like Eminem, and then you had the jock, and they're the cool guy
Yep.
and everything. And they go back to school, and they find out that those tropes don't exist at all
They
anymore.
don't exist.
Right?
Hey, Brad, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, those tropes don't exist, but we had that. And again, I'm not an expert in anything, but when there was always a group that would take you in, we seem to get along
Yeah.
better.
Yep.
Because when you have one,
I mean, really, when it comes down to it, everyone at that point in time just simply doesn't want to be alone.
no, and you
right?
found somebody. Like I was the guy with I was the rat. We were the guys smoking on the
Yeah.
corner. Like that was us.
Yeah.
And the jocks were there. And then I was a football guy. And you go through these phases in your life, but if you didn't fit in here, you'd fit in over there. So maybe part of it is the fact that we've lost that individuality that we used to have. And we're all trying to be what is sitting on Instagram. We're all trying to be what's sitting on TikTok.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
you don't fit, you're whatever. And whatever the motivation is for something like this to happen, it's terrible. And I really hope that
Yeah.
the people that do this get the help that they need. But how much has changed? Because when did Columbine happen? Columbine was almost 20 years ago.
Oh God. It was when was it Columbine?
So Columbine was absolutely the most shocking thing.
That was like that was the big when was it? Not the movie. That was in 1999.
So 1999. So that was almost 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, does it feel
Yeah.
like it was 24 years ago? Because that would have been the biggest shocker that we saw.
26 years ago. 26
Right.
years ago.
Now, Columbine was
the worst shooting in U.S. history until 2012.
What was in 2012?
The one that was worse than that. apparently.
Velati? Was it
So,
Velati High School?
I don't know. Sandy Hook.
Right. And again, we would have never dreamt this was possible. I mean, I did a video a couple days ago on Jeremy. I don't know if you saw that or not. But remember
Jeremy, the song?
remember when Jeremy came out by Pearl Jam? And the video came out? And when that came out in 1991, I remember watching this on Much Music. I was like, that's insane. Like that would never happen. Like that would never happen.
Back then, the world was a lot smaller. You got the most of the music you heard would have been on KX96. You had maybe you had MTV or something, maybe, right? But the world was a whole lot smaller at that point in time. The world's smaller too.
It is, but when you look at Jeremy, and I called that song almost prophetic to what's happening now.
Right.
Jeremy was picked on. He had a shit home life, and he finally had enough.
Yeah.
And
Jeremy's spoken, right?
Yeah. And he spoke in class today and he was a guy that would just sit there, just a harmless little fuck is what they say in the song. And it's or harmless little punk.
Yeah.
That's how my kids felt in high school. They didn't have an ideology to support their outcasts. And again, there's Felicia, and I appreciate that because outcasts had a group. Outcasts had somewhere to fit in.
Yeah, somebody always had a
weird.
place.
Yeah, and I think that maybe that's part of it too. There's 50,000 million reasons why something like this can happen. Is it because our society and our culture has changed and we don't have a place? And maybe some kids feel like they don't have a place.
Well, that's the funny thing with the internet, because on one hand everyone's connected, but nobody really has any connection.
Right. So we have the algorithm is going to feed you what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And if you're the outcast, like I would guarantee that the outcast's feed is going to be different than your feed and my feed, because who knows what they're looking for? If they're looking for, if they're just depressed all the time or angry all the time. And we had this conversation when Gage asked me how this could have happened and what happens. And I had to make sure that he knew. I said, listen, you know what? It's okay to be sad and it's okay to be mad. It's okay. It's okay to be all these things. But what you do with that is more important than anything. Like, what are you going to do?
How are you going to process it?
Handle it. Yeah. And lots of kids can't process it. And I mean, when as adults can't process this stuff.
Yeah. Especially
let's
now.
be real.
Like the mental health crisis has it's I've never seen anything quite like this ever before, but since COVID, things have just escalated so crazy and so much. It's incredible.
Well, here's the thing. It's Men's Mental Health Month. Did you know
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
How many people do you think men account for 75% of all suicide deaths? It's about 3,000
Yeah.
per year. Roughly 8 men die by suicide every day.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I
Like,
mean, I guess it
why
depends who you
are
talk
we
to.
so depressed?
I think there's a huge amount of number one, the responsibilities and the fact that most guys tend to bury themselves in their work more than anything, that they don't have a lot of close friends or people they can communicate with. And also they just feel the need to not tell their spouses or partners the things that are bothering them. Those are some of the reasons why, anyways. There's also that men don't really respond as generalization to talk therapy in the same way that women do, right? They tend to be people who want to go do something as opposed to talk about the problems.
Well, nobody wants to hear our problems, whether you're a man or a boy.
Yep.
That happens. Your friends don't want to
Yep.
hear it, and it makes you look really, really weak. Now, I just asked if there's ever been a female school shooter. Since Columbine shooting in 1999, fewer than 10 school shootings have been carried out by female students in the U.S. Now, you got to remember, 288, they said this year.
Yeah.
There was a 15-year-old girl became the youngest female mass school shooter in U.S. history in 2024.
Oh, okay.
Why didn't we hear about that one? Killed a teacher and a student at a Christian school in Madison, Wisconsin before taking her own life. A 16-year-old girl killed 2 adults and injured 8 children and a police officer. And when asked why this is in 1979, she infamously said, "I don't like Mondays." So why is this rare? 98% of shootings are committed by men. Most school shootings are current or former male students, often influenced by prior attackers or driven by a mix of personal grievances, mental health issues, and access to firearms.
Yeah.
Again, personal grievances. This is where retaliation comes into
Yeah.
effect. And Mitchell Hooper's podcast yesterday, I'm going to write that down and watch that. I'm guessing, Felicia, that has something to do with what we're talking about today. Mitchell Hooper's. I'm going to write that down. But I think when you have this many happening on a scale that is ramped up in the last 20 years since Columbine, because Columbine says 26 years ago.
Yep.
So there's
definitely something wrong, right? And this isn't because you hear that discussion a lot of times, guys have to just fix it themselves. It's like, no, that's not what the answer is. If women are having a problem and you said women need to fix it themselves, that would be offensive.
But women are better at talking to other women. Girls are
Yes.
better at talking with other girls. They will talk about their problems.
Right. But guys
point.
are just inherently different. So trying to fix male problems under the guise of under the lens of what works for women does not work.
No, it doesn't work. And especially if you're a guy, okay, like especially let's go down to teenagers. If you're a teenage boy and you are having some feelings and they're dark or they're sad or whatever, first of all, you're not going to talk to your buddies about it because now you're going to be the weak link in the group and you might be punched from the group.
Yep. Second of all, you don't want to tell your parents and have them commit you.
Well, okay. Why don't we talk about, let's open that can of worms. Do you remember the hospital up on the hill?
Yep.
Okay. Now, they are starting to go back to the sanitarium model in the States because it was effective.
Good. Because it was effective. Okay. It worked.
Right. So if you were, I remember there were kids that were cutting themselves when we were kids and they would get checked in.
Yep.
They would get the help they needed.
Yep.
And it worked. But then it was deemed to be what, inhumane to have the door locked behind you.
Yeah. To have people imprisoned against their will. Right.
Have you been to a senior's home?
I sure have. Yeah.
The door's locked behind you there too for their own safety, right?
Yep.
So if the model that we have doesn't so if the model that we have doesn't work and the model that we did have was effective, maybe what's new isn't working.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to have a place for people to get help.
We see that a lot though. Something works or something's being done, and then somebody comes around and says, nope, that we have to change all this, whether they want to leave their mark in society and do the righteous thing or whatever it might be. That's the funny thing with when it's righteous, it's always the right thing to do to that person, right? So
What's the okay, Brandon, for an
yeah,
example, what do you think we have for resources? Like how many
or
people can get? Hey,
excuse me, sorry, for resources for
we have some. So CAP, which is
yeah,
Center for Adult Psychiatry, how many beds do you think they have in there?
not enough. I know that.
25.
Yeah,
25. And the numbers are higher than that for people that need help,
yeah,
mental health. And what do you do with that? You don't have the space, you don't have the capacity to
yeah.
help. And you're gonna have to find we have to find a better way. We need like when we were kids, we had the kids help phone. Remember that?
Yep, I do.
And apparently it was very effective.
Yeah,
And
anonymous calls and talk. Yeah,
but I remember that from Much Music. They
yeah,
used to advertise that like crazy,
yeah.
and kids felt welcome to look it up, and they knew the number. I bet you I can remember the number if I really dug deep. But we knew that it existed.
Yep.
But now, how does anybody know that it's there? We're all
Without putting it on social media and trying to share it, it's very difficult, right?
well, and considering what I've seen, like there's digital boards, there's billboards everywhere. I don't
Yeah,
know if I've ever seen a kid's help phone one.
probably not.
No, like I think that's something that should be out there. I think that that's something that
There
should
is,
be sitting on social media.
I saw actually a thing where they're talking about what they're using is actually using AI bots for that.
That's a
So,
terrible idea.
well, they were finding that it was actually beneficial because it's not doing diagnosis or anything, but it's being a listening ear to a person. And if you've ever have you ever done that? Picked up like a chat GPT and had a conversation with it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
I've
actually interesting. It's more interesting than I thought it would be. It's more realistic than I thought. And if you really want to get freaked out, here's one for you. I'm driving with my wife the other day. Phone call comes in and it's a telemarketer,
okay.
right? So it's asking these questions, and she goes, the lady goes, "Do you have a few minutes I can talk to you?" Okay. So
Okay.
my wife goes, "Yes, but I'm driving in a car right now. I'm stuck in traffic." And then it goes, "Okay, good. Let me tell you about something." And I was like, "Cut it, cut it." And
Right.
so she finally hanged up. And I said, "That was AI.
Oh, not you don't think that was a script?
That was no, that was AI." Because there was, if you listen, how it was, there was enough of a pause, and then it kind of clicked over into the new sentence.
Now
So
that
there
you
was
say that,
definitely AI.
when you're talking about AI and helping kids get through things,
Hmm.
what if maybe that is better? Because if kids they're all plugged in. What if they can talk to AI, which is going to research their answers before they give a kid an answer?
Yes.
And the kid does not want to talk to a human because they're going to feel judged,
Yeah.
but they can get the resources that they need from that AI. That's a brilliant
They're using it on
model.
seniors and using it on lonely people who are just lonely and looking for someone to talk to. And one of the things they're saying is like, welcome to the end of things like OnlyFans for people who are lonely, because now
Right.
it could be all AI derived and pretend girlfriends or whatever it might be.
But I would be willing to bet that back in the day when the kids' help phone was
Hmm.
popular,
Yeah.
kids would be scared to call because what if their parents found out that they called kids'
Yeah.
help phone?
Yeah.
Because that would show up on the phone bill, right?
Yep. Now it's all anonymous. Well, it shouldn't. It should have been free, I think.
No, but it would have been an 877 number or 888 number or 800 number,
Okay.
but it would still show up on a phone bill,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
It'd be free, but it would show up. So, because local calls
Right.
wouldn't be on there, but anything else would be. So, again, if kids
Yeah.
were scared to talk to somebody real, but they could get the answers through AI with an actual conversation, because AI does learn. It
Yeah.
learns. It figures your camera's
Yeah.
off again. AI does recognize
Yeah.
what I talk about in the conversations I've had with it, and it builds on that forever. So if this kid has problems and they want to talk to somebody without being judged or anybody knowing and actually get some good, solid advice, because they can say, yeah, that's not going to work for me, and ask something else, it'll change it with data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit, maybe that's the answer. One answer.
Well, it's something that could help. Anyways, AI is a fascinating tool, even though it's limited in scope and limited in possibilities.
It is. It only knows, I think it's up to 2023 now as far as its knowledge.
Hmm.
Like it has
It's
modern
still
stuff, but
really,
it's not.
it's pretty cool. I'm using it for some pretty cool projects right now, man. And
Right.
it's wonderful for brainstorming. Like say you can say goodbye to committees and stuff a lot of times now because you could be like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this. What do you think about this? And it'll kind of give you feedback on it.
I think it'd be interesting if a kid who was going through some pretty serious shit said, I want, starts an AI conversation with something that's designed exactly for this,
Yeah.
and says, you know what, I want 3 different people to talk to me. So I want 3 different viewpoints on what I'm going through right now. And they could get 3 different viewpoints on what they're talking about. You could have like a team of psychologists that are working for you
Yeah.
24/7 with just your phone and have the conversation. Maybe that's
That's
the answer. Maybe
literally what I did when it came to business advice. Is I told the AI I want to create a matrix of the following authors and business people, and I want you to go deep dive, get the research on these people, and put them into your matrix. Then answer my question from each of them, and then from them I had them argue the points back and forth between the two.
really like a
Yeah,
debate.
yeah.
What did she just say? As long as your VPN is in Canada, because it'll lead into
Made,
MAID.
yeah, medically assisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, I would hope that wouldn't happen if you're talking to a teenager.
Yeah.
Like there's something else that I'm kind of worried about. So MAID
Yeah.
is available. However, I believe until 2027, they've delayed its availability for strictly mental health. So what happens in 2 years when it opens that can of worms?
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
need to get ahead of this. And
Right.
people have been saying that for 20, 30, 40 years. We need to get ahead of this, but what happens when that
Yeah.
happens? You know, I think that we need to really
Mm.
we need to be able to help, like
Yeah.
help people, and kids need to be able to relate to people that are talking to them.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
I would be willing to bet that a teenager could talk to you and have a decent conversation, maybe to me.
Yep.
Um, because there are people that can relate. There are some people that can't. Like I'll tell you
Yep.
what, if you're 72,
Yep.
I don't have a lot in common with you. Like I don't think that
There's
I'll
not
take
many people
advice
you
from
can.
you,
Yeah. Yeah.
but sort of like if a 17-year-old is talking to a 49-year-old,
It's a little tougher.
it's a little tougher, but AI has no age.
Yep. It doesn't matter. It can adapt accordingly to whatever age you want.
Like I certainly hope that the kid who was on the receiving end of this attack is going to be okay,
Yeah.
and that the kid who did this gets the help that he needs. I don't know if it's a
Yes.
guy. Yeah, it was a boy.
I couldn't
But
say. I have no idea. Like
no, no.
there's very little of the information that I've seen, which is
And
okay for me too.
rightfully so. Like I don't think that we need to dive into who these people are or what their stories are. But at an age like that, you're going to make some pretty poor decisions in a lot of
Yeah.
different ways. Now, this
Yeah.
was a huge decision being
Yeah.
made, and I would assume, I can't assume a lot, but there's going to be some regret and some guilt.
Yeah.
You know, lives are changed forever.
Yeah.
And again, now that this has happened, do you think that September is going to look different in our schools?
That's a good question. I don't think so. Not yet.
You don't think so?
I think it's too quick. There might be some emergency pressures put into something for something, but I couldn't. I don't even know. I mean, you can't count on bureaucracy at all, right?
Hang on. How long did it take? I'm going to ask AI because AI is way better than Google.
Yeah.
Sorry, Google. How long did it take for security to increase I'm curious. Immediately. So, immediate response included
Okay.
lockdown drills, increased police presence, and stricter visitor policies, emergency response plans, and school resource officers. Okay, so we've done that here.
Good.
We have lockdown drills, which again I think are terrifying. The kids had to learn that in kindergarten. You have
Yeah.
lockdown drills. They have emergency response plans in Brandon and school resource officers. That is a thing. We have that in Brandon,
That's good.
right?
That's good.
Then they go into zero tolerance policies and mental health awareness. And then they went further after Sandy Hook. Panic buttons, bulletproof glass, active shooter drills became more common in schools.
Crazy.
96% of U.S. schools have written active shooter plans. 98% required visitor check-ins. School security industry has grown to a $3.1 billion sector.
Wow.
And AI-based threat detection and real-time surveillance. So it has taken 25 years for this evolution to come. Lots of it's because of technology, but when you have active shooter plans, and I would be willing to bet that after this incident here, they're going to have an active violence plan of some type. I'm not going to say
There'll be
shooter,
some
but
sort of plan, I would imagine. Some sort of, like, there's got to be something that's moving along already. So
right. And people are going to be like, the school year is almost over, but I'd be willing to bet again that the schools and probably the local police are going to be having some conversations.
yeah.
And when
would
you
hope so
talk
anyways,
about
yeah.
panic buttons, that's not a bad idea.
Those are simple to do. Like, we have a panic button at the clinic even.
Well, what are those things? Don't the teachers carry something around their neck? Isn't there some sort of an electronic
You can
device
get
on their
those.
neck?
You can get panic buttons around to wear around your neck. Yeah, for sure. I don't know
I
if they
think that
do.
would
I couldn't
be.
say.
You wouldn't want them mounted somewhere because you know the kids are going to pull those like the fire alarm.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
But if you had panic buttons that the teachers were in control of, maybe something like that. But I mean, I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, when it came to response time, I believe
Yeah.
the call came at 1:15 and
Yeah.
this person was apprehended at 1:22.
It's pretty quick. That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty quick, which means
Yeah.
that people are on the ready,
Yeah.
which
Exactly.
is good. So whatever
Which is
system they had,
fantastic.
yeah, like I would have never suspected that. But then good thing there wasn't a train because I believe the train
Well,
is right
that's
between the
good.
police station
Yeah.
and the school.
Yeah.
But
That would put a damper and things.
7 minutes from
Just
call
pass.
to done,
Yeah.
chef's
That's unreal.
kiss to the police.
Yeah.
But no, I think that it's going to evolve. We're going to see things. I'm going to assume that we're going to see some changes here. And hopefully there's going to be a lot of resources for parents and kids
Yep.
and teachers.
hope
Because
so.
I mean, the teachers that had to go through this, trust me, their lives aren't
Yeah.
going to be the same.
There's going to be a lot of trauma that's come out of that situation.
Yeah. And then how do you deal with that much? Because how many kids go
Yeah.
to that school?
Yeah.
Now, how many kids are going to be scared of their school? Because there's still a couple weeks left of school.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I remember going to Crocus and there was a bomb threat.
Yep.
Do you remember the bomb threat at Crocus?
I don't remember that one. That was probably not. I was probably not at Crocus at that point in time.
Right. So there was a bomb threat at Crocus, and we all got sent to the parking lot.
Right.
And the teachers went in for maybe 10 minutes. They're like, yeah, come on in. I'm pretty sure they didn't check every locker, but they're like, yeah, it's bullshit, kids. Come on back in.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
didn't think about it ever
Yeah.
again, because we're like,
Yeah.
obviously nothing happened. We're fine.
Exactly.
But there was
Yeah.
not a horrific act of violence happening right there in front of people either.
Well, that's the thing. This is a whole different world of things now. So, hey, I've got to cut
Yeah.
loose. I've got to get up and get the kids to bed. I work in the morning too. So,
Yeah, I'm going to be in Erickson all day tomorrow. I'm doing open house, and then I'm doing a Little Valley Jamboree, emceeing that thing. But
good for
you know
you.
what?
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be good.
It'll be fun. It's for kids, and I think it's fantastic. But here's the thing: when it comes to what we've experienced here and what has happened in a lot of areas, one, hearts go out to the families that are involved here. Anybody that was at the schools, anybody that has kids there, any teachers that are working there, and the ripple effect that this is going to have. Let's just hope that we can all learn something from this and
Starts
evolve in a
moving
way that's
through
going to
it
help people.
anyways. Exactly.
Exactly. But hey, enjoy your weekend, buddy. I'm going to go. And again, I deeply sorry for everybody that that had to go through this stuff.
Yep, this horrible event. But
Absolutely.
anyway, have a good weekend. Have a good Father's Day.
Okay, guys. Yeah, happy Father's Day to you. Hopefully, you get a piece of meat of some type cooked to your liking.
That'd be perfect. Always hoping
All
for
right.
that. Okay.